Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
As we continue our search for a Nick Hebler highlight at BC Place, a reminder that all of our guests today on this Friday are brought to you by the fine folks at Langley Chrysler, including Thomas Drance, standing by. Enjoy no-hassle 3-day returns and 30-day exchanges on all used vehicles, so you can make sure what you get is just right for you in one of the largest inventories in BC, and that's saying a lot these days. Don't just love your car, love buying it. Ryan, I know you love your car every Saturday at LangleyChrysler.com.
I did find something I have there. You want me to run it real quick? It's not that long.
Keep Rick happy.
Yes.
Here it is. Is this Nick Hebler?
Thomas, go to my. There it is. There.
Stop it.
Wishing
Just
this
stop
guy
it.
a Merry Christmas, the most random Christmas greeting of all time.
I wish my pal Nick Hebler a Merry Christmas, Donnie, and this guy's all over me. Like, what is it with you, Ryan? That's what you do at Christmas. You wish your pals a Merry Christmas.
I thought you were going to
random.
Show some video.
Why is it random?
No, I just found this.
Unbelievable.
Okay. And there you go. See, Rick,
Hebler's a good pal of mine. He's been at my house. We pounded Crown together.
number 58, right?
Yeah.
You didn't believe me.
I'll continue to look for a video. I've been Googling Nick Hebler's sack a lot. And so far
there's some other things that have come up. Sorry, Nick. Okay, let's get to this is a tough segue.
Yeah.
From Nick Hebler to Thomas Drance from the Athletic. How are you, sir?
Well, boys, after that Nick Hebler segment, let me tell you, I'm not LOLing, I'm laughing.
Oh,
That's
the
what you guys should
abbreviation.
know.
Oh, good.
I'm laughing.
Good.
I'm laughing, yeah.
Do you think the majority of Canadians know what FOMO means?
No.
The large
Yes.
majority?
Yeah.
But he's
So-
35. Donnie, he's 35. He's not old. He doesn't get it.
No.
I mean, they did the whole SNL. There's like a song. It's Maroon 5, too. It's not like a hip young band. It's like a band that gets played at bar mitzvahs. Like, they did a whole song. FOMO. Come on.
Maroon 5 is not hip and young? You had me fooled.
Not really. Not really.
The lead singer looks like he's 20 years old, Thomas, for crying out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah, but he's been around for 30 years.
Well.
Hey, you know what? It's nice the two of you are talking here because wasn't Rick screening your calls yesterday?
No.
Apparently he was.
Thomas, I got issues. Well, let's
I'm
not
laughing.
get.
I'm laughing, Rick.
That's
I'm
a long
laughing. You
list
do
of
have
issues. No. I'm not 100%, and my phone's been buggered up a bit. So if you did call or text yesterday, apologies if I missed it.
No worries. The missing 3 calls is one thing. It's the texting a guy who always gets back to you to make sure everything's okay that you don't hear back from. I was like, I hope Rick's doing okay. I was genuinely worried.
Fine. I would never shut you out.
Now.
I would never shut you out, Thomas. You're one of my best pals. I screen call this guy's calls, but other than that,
It's interesting. You have phone
That's
issues with everyone, and then an agent calls, and your phone works fine.
The agents say, yeah,
Weird.
I have
Bread
time
and
for
butter.
agents.
And
Bread
then
and butter.
and then you talk to the agents and then tell us that you can't say anything on the air
Yeah.
about what you just talked about.
Yeah.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
Hey, Thomas, you wrote about this, I believe, something like this. Can you envision the Canucks keeping all 3 of Horvat, Besser, and Miller? Where are they with some of their core players?
It can. I mean, they have the cap space to do so if you decide to, especially if you're able to shed some cap space elsewhere. But certainly you can keep that group together if you want, and you can keep them together long term. Where this team's going to bump into issues pretty quickly here, Donnie, is that they're not set up to have cost certainty, especially up front among their forward ranks. We're talking about a team that's got, it's 5 of their top 9 scoring forwards who are out of contract either this year or next year. And it goes to 8 of their top 9 scoring forwards if you go through to the 2024 offseason when Pettersson and Podkolzin will both expire. So that sort of puts this team in a bind a little bit just because they're not really set up to capitalize off of any upside. Like, think about in your mind's eye what it looks like for this team to continue to do what they did in the second half under Boudreau, right? Doesn't it look like, Pettersson plays the way he did in the second half of the season all year and is a 40-goal scorer, and that has ramifications in terms of what his contract looks like. Certainly, you need Miller and Horvat to be 30-goal guys again over the course of a full year, and that has ramifications in terms of what those contracts are valued at. Certainly, you're looking at Podkolzin and Höglander taking a step and being fixtures in this club's top 9 or even top 6 or even top line. And if any of those things happen, then those second contracts can get dicey really quickly. And so you're in this spot really where you have to be really careful, particularly this offseason, because if some of these players who I think we're all really high on do what you expect them to do, that becomes even more difficult to make the puzzle pieces all fit over the long haul. And I think that's what you have to wait. There is a world where the Canucks can easily, in my view, relatively straightforward, keep Besser, Miller, and Horvat on contracts that give them a significant lift over where they're currently slotted over the next few years. Where that's going to become problematic is are they going to have the space to fill in the pieces around them to the level that they're going to need if they're going to be playing at this time of the year in the years to come, which is what we all want to see.
Thomas, do you understand the Blackhawks, and apparently not just the Blackhawks, but their interest in Canuck assistant coach Brad Shaw?
Yeah, not hugely surprised, to be honest.
Okay.
Bradshaw's probably deserved a shot to be a head coach for a bit here. I think he's been an interim head coach, but this is a guy who's been on Hitchcock's staff, Tortorella's staff. He's had enormous success working with young defenders, obviously, through the years. His work in Vancouver last year was really highly praised. I think he was marginalized a little bit at the start of the year, seemed to find his legs a little bit more, be a little bit more involved, after the Boudreau hire. And when you look at the work, particularly on the penalty kill, once Shaw took it over, I thought it was really strong. That was probably the best version of the Vancouver power play, was sort of the last 25 games when Shaw was running it. He's got a reputation as being very detailed, very data-driven, very open-minded, sharp, tactically sharp, a good teacher. That's a lot of the stuff that teams are looking for, particularly rebuilding teams like the Chicago Blackhawks, right? If you want to bring in a guy who's going to leave no stone unturned and who has, demonstrated skill working with young defenders and a built-in relationship with Seth Jones, right? One of their key defenders who can't be happy with how his first season in Chicago went down. Shaw would tick a lot of boxes in Chicago.
Hey, Thomas, obviously the Canucks got to sign a lot of their UFAs and RFAs, but also that free agency is around the corner. When a lot of people ask me all the time, are the Canucks going to be in on Evander Kane if he's available that day? Do you think they would go after Evander Kane?
I'd be pretty surprised. I think that's going to be a big ticket, Rick. Does he make sense for this team considering the looming uncertainty? I don't think without them sending out additional bodies. I know they want sandpaper, right? So Evander Kane certainly fits that mold, but also we've seen him have enormous success on a short-term deal. Do you want to be the team that pays him on his next contract? Considering all of the red flags on and off the ice that we've seen from Kane over the course of his career, I'd be pretty skeptical that the Canucks would be eager to get in line there. We also know that, Rutherford's teams have typically really valued character in making their own player evaluations. I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if Evander Kane was a serious consideration for the Canucks this summer.
Thomas, where do you see the assistant coach search ending? Mike Yeo's name is out there. Do you think they'll get a big name here in Vancouver for Bruce?
Yeah, and I was a little surprised, Rick, when I heard Mike Yeo's name floated earlier this week. I sort of thought, that seemed like a pretty senior name for me based on what I was expecting them to go targeting. I thought they would look at more of an entry-level type, someone who'd maybe never been on an NHL coaching staff. I was wondering if they'd look at a woman, a woman candidate for that spot. It's an eye-in-the-sky job. So it's not – eye in the skies can be super veteran coaches. Obviously, there's been some examples in Vancouver in recent years. I think about Perry Pern being sort of a good example of that. But often it's entry-level guys. It's Manny Malhotra types, right? Mm-hmm. Guys sort of getting their feet wet. And I sort of expected the Canucks to go in that direction with their additional assistant coaching hire. Looks like they're certainly talking to some veteran guys. talking about some veteran guys, perhaps looking to bring in a more robust staff. And, that's pretty interesting. The idea that the club wants just an additional voice to drive, tactical discipline on the ice, I think is, speaks volumes about exactly how management wants this group to play. And I also think, poses a challenge to Boudreau, and not a challenge in terms of his authority, but a challenge in terms of, can you take this group now that you've been here for a year, now that you're not just inheriting a bunch of another coach's guys, and build a more collaborative environment within the staff? Because I do think that that's something that management wants. I do think that it's something that management was critical of privately. It wasn't listed among the things that we heard at that season-ending presser, but I think it's something that management wants to challenge Bruce to do next season. And a veteran coach would sort of up the level of difficulty there, one would think.
Okay, and very quickly, Thomas, the Lightning, what makes them so effective?
They are able to process what another team is doing and learn from it. In the last season, 2021, they were able to take whatever game you played and do it better than you could, right? So the Florida Panthers wanted to play run and gun. They'd outrun and gun them. The Montreal Canadiens wanted to mix it up after the whistles. We all remember what Brendan Gallagher's face looked like after game 2 of that series in the Cup final last year. This season, I don't think they quite have that gear 5-on-5. So what they do is they adjust as the series goes along and become impossible to score on. And we've seen it every series they played, right? Maple Leafs scored 5-4-5 in the first 3 games of that series. By game 7, it's a 2-1 victory. Florida 1-1-1-0. They didn't need to learn how to shut down Florida. They'd seen them enough. And then this Rangers series, they score 6 in game 1. They score 3 in game 2. And now it feels like they can't buy a goal. Yep. That's what the Lightning do. They learn.
Yeah, and they were down in both. They weren't down in the Florida series, but against Toronto and against the Rangers, down 0-2. Thomas, thanks for this. I'll make sure Rick answers
give me
your calls.
Thomas, when you get off your little radio stick there, give me a call.
My little radio stick?
Yeah.
Well, I'm laughing.
Sorry.
At that
off your big radio stick, give me a call.
What's a stick? What's a radio stick? Have you invented a device?
You know what I mean. Okay. Stick.
I legitimately thought you meant that I was going to be like speaking into a stick or something. Like I thought you'd invented a device, a radio stick.
Just look. Call me later.
Call my iPhone.
Call me later. Call me later.
See you, boys. Have a good weekend.